Okay, so why do commercial refrigeration companies never really sleep? Picture it, 2 in the morning, and inside a supermarket, a machine room hums behind a locked door. Compressor racks, copper lines, gauges, a wall of sensors, one red light. Then one of those sensors stops reporting. Somewhere, an alarm starts screaming. Inside the store, the milk cases are still lit. The meat counter still looks fine, but the temperature is creeping up toward the line where food stops being food and starts being a health code violation, a dumpster run, and a liability. Somewhere out in the dark, a technician in a stocked van gets the call. He is the one person in the city who can fix it. That is the picture. That is what this business looks like from the outside. A customer with product going bad, a technician who answers the phone, a premium rate for a middle-of-the-night save. Sounds like a perfect business. Demand that never stops. Customers who cannot say no. Money rolling in around the clock. It is not a perfect business. And the story of why the cold never stops, and why a company that never sleeps can still go broke, is one of the strangest stories in the service economy. Here is the thing nobody tells you when they picture this trade. The call you are imagining, the dramatics say that 2 o'clock in the morning, is the least profitable part of the whole operation. And the most valuable thing the company owns can walk out the door in a van. By the end, you will understand which refrigeration companies actually survive, why they survive, and which ones are one bad winter away from missing payroll. So let's start with how you even get in. And that is the first surprise. The money is not the hard part. The people are. You can write a check for a fully outfitted service van, and that check is a big one. Tools, gauges, recovery machines, replacement parts, enough inventory to fix a dozen different failures on the spot. Between the truck, the tools, and the parts, you can sink $100,000 into a single vehicle before it ever parks at a customer's loading dock. But the van is not the barrier. The barrier is the person who drives it. You cannot legally open a refrigeration circuit without EPA certification. Refrigerants are regulated chemicals. You cannot touch them without a federal license, a test, and a working knowledge of the equipment. And you cannot hire the certified technicians who already exist, because they are all employed, every one of them. The tech who can walk into a machine room, diagnose a failing rack, and have a store back at temperature before dawn is one of the scarcest people in the American workforce. And that scarcity runs through everything this business does. It sets the price of entry, it sets the ceiling on growth, and it decides whether the company can ever be worth anything. So let's follow one company through it. Not a specific documented case, the shape of the story that plays out across this industry, over and over. Call him the owner. He buys his first van, he finds his first certified tech, he starts answering the panic calls. It works. The 2 a.m. calls are real, the premiums are real, the phone rings and the money follows. From the outside, this company is on fire. But here is what the owner does not see yet, because he is inside the fire. He is not running one business, he is running 3. A commercial refrigeration company sells 3 completely different products under the same name, and they have almost nothing in common financially. The first is the emergency repair. The alarm goes off, the phone rings, a tech drives out, the unit gets fixed, the customer pays a premium. The second is the maintenance contract, a monthly agreement where the company visits, checks, cleans, and catches problems before they become emergencies. The third is installation. A supermarket needs a new rack. A restaurant is building out a kitchen. Your crew designs and installs the whole system for one big lump sum bid. 3 products, 3 different revenue patterns, 3 different margins, 3 different risks. And the one the public pictures, the one that makes this business sound bulletproof, is the one that can quietly destroy you. Let's look at the emergency call first, because that is where the trap is. The alarm goes off. The customer has thousands of dollars of product moving toward the danger line. They will pay almost anything to save it, and you cannot tell them to call back in the morning. The FDA food code says cold food has to stay at or below 41 degrees. A dead refrigerator is not a service request. It is a clock. So your technician drives out into the dark, fixes the unit, and charges a premium. Sounds like a gold mine. Here is the part the premium has to cover. Your tech was not billing for the hours he sat waiting for that call. He was on standby. You are paying him anyway, or paying him extra just to carry the phone. The van is fully stocked with parts, and most of that stock is dead money until the day it gets used. The response time you promised is a promise you cannot break, no matter what else is on the board that night. So run the actual numbers on one premium call. Say the after-hours rate is triple the day rate. A 4-hour call at 3 times the normal rate sounds like real money. But that tech was on call for the whole night, and the company paid for that night whether the phone rang or not. The premium pays for the call. It does not pay for the waiting. Now run the week, because one call hides the real picture. Say that same tech is on call 7 nights out of 14, because a 2-truck shop cannot cover a roster with 3 or 4 people. Every night he is on call, the company pays for his availability, even the quiet ones. He gets 2 real calls that week. One lasts 4 hours at the triple rate. One lasts 20 minutes, a reset, a sensor that failed, and the customer still gets billed for the full after-hours minimum. So for the week, the company collected a premium on maybe 5 billable hours, while paying for 14 nights of availability, plus the drive time, plus the parts that were not used, plus the truck sitting idle on the nights nobody called. Run that across a month, and the emergency business starts to look less like a gold mine and more like a lottery ticket with a salary attached. The demand is real, the demand is unpredictable, and unpredictability is the whole problem. Here is the counterintuitive part, and it is worth reading again. The company with the fullest logbook, the one whose dispatch board is covered in emergency tickets, can be the weakest one in town. Revenue is not profit. Activity is not success. A dispatch log full of panic calls means a lot of hours, a lot of parts, and a lot of invoices. It does not mean a healthy bank account. And here is where the cash timing turns that busy operation into a trap. Your customers do not pay when the work is done. They pay on terms, net 30, net 60. The invoice goes out, and the money shows up a month or 2 later. Your technician is paid every week, so the more emergency work you do, the more hours you pay out this week, against money that will not arrive for weeks. A growth month in repairs can leave an owner short on payroll. The business can be more profitable on paper and more broke in the bank at the same time. Now watch our owner. He believes the phone. He adds a second van. He lands a grocery store account, then another. A grocery account is a different animal, because a grocery store does not shut down at night. The cases run around the clock, the alarms are monitored around the clock, and the customer expects a tech on site within the hour no matter what time it is. The logbook fills up, the trucks are on the road, he is doing everything the dream promised, and the cash gap is widening under him with every ticket he writes. He does not feel it yet. He will. So if the dramatic work is the trap, where does the money hide? Here is where it gets interesting. The money hides in the most boring thing in the industry. The maintenance contract. A contract is a monthly fee in exchange for scheduled visits. The technician comes in, checks the racks, cleans the coils, catches the small problem before it becomes the 2 a.m. alarm. Watch one of those visits, because this is where the real work happens. The tech walks the floor in the middle of a Tuesday morning. The store is full of shoppers, the cases are humming, and the manager is doing paperwork in the back. Nothing looks wrong. That is the point. The tech checks the log from the machine room, listens to the rack, watches one compressor cycle on and off, and notices a pattern that does not look right. A bearing is starting to go. It is not failing yet. It will fail in 3 weeks, probably at 3 o'clock in the morning, on a Saturday. He writes it into the report, orders the part, and books a follow-up. The store manager walks over and asks what it will cost. Nothing, the tech tells him. It is covered. That is the moment the contract changes everything. The store never loses a degree of temperature. The customers never notice a thing. The emergency never happens. That visit is not dramatic. It is not a hero moment. It is exactly why the contract is valuable. A maintenance contract converts random, lumpy, unpredictable demand into a steady stream of recurring revenue. You know how many contracts you hold. You know what the month is worth before the month starts. You can schedule your techs instead of chasing them. Utilization goes up. Idle standby goes down. And then there is the part that changes everything. The contract makes you the first call when something breaks. The store manager does not call the cheapest shop in an emergency. They call the company that is already in the building, the one that knows their equipment, the one that knows their equipment, the one they pay every month. The emergency call flows to the contract holder. The company that never sleeps makes its money from the calls it prevents. That is the hidden engine, and it is the reason 2 companies with the same phone volume can have completely different bank accounts. But there is a trap inside the engine, and it catches owners who are not careful. A contract is only profitable if it is priced against your real cost. Watch what a mispriced contract actually does. Say a grocery store wants a monthly agreement, and the owner prices it at $400 a month because he wants the account. The visits cost him $500. Every single visit, he loses $100, and he does not see it because the account looks busy and the monthly check arrives on time. Year 1, he has lost $1,200 and felt fine about it. Year 3, that account has quietly cost him thousands, and he has been too busy to notice. The contract is a beautiful machine, A mispriced contract is a beautiful machine that bleeds you slowly. You do not see it on the day you sign, you see it in year 3. And that brings us to the real asset, the thing that decides whether this business works at all. Almost nobody in the industry agrees on what it is. The asset is the technician. Watch what actually happens in this business. The store manager does not have a relationship with the company, they have a relationship with the person who shows up. The tech knows their machine room, they know the building manager by name, they know that one compressor that has been temperamental since the summer. When something breaks, the manager does not call the company, they call the tech's phone, and the tech, not the owner, decides which job gets fixed first. So here is the structural risk running through the entire trade. The company's most valuable customer relationships are stored inside the head of an hourly employee who can leave at any moment. And when a certified technician leaves, they do not just leave, they take the account with them. They load it into their van and drive it to the next employer, or to their own new company. Replacing them is not a matter of posting a job ad. The industry says it takes up to 2 years to train an entry-level technician to work alone. 2 years before that person can walk into a machine room by themselves. The asset can walk out the door, and the replacement does not exist yet. That is not a management problem, that is the structural fact underneath the whole industry, and it explains why the shortage is the main event, not a temporary pain. The numbers are documented. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects roughly 40,000 openings for heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration mechanics every single year. The industry says around 80,000 technician jobs are sitting unfilled right now, and the shortage feeds itself. A shop with 2 techs and 4 accounts that need round-the-clock coverage means the same 2 people carry the phone every night and every weekend. Survey after survey finds technicians naming the schedule, the on-call nights, the unpredictable hours as the worst part of the job. In one industry survey, more than half of the technicians surveyed called the schedule and the on-call demands the single biggest drawback to the work. So the shortage makes the work brutal, and the brutal work pushes technicians out, which makes the shortage worse. It is a burnout loop, and the entire industry is running on it. Now add the second pressure, because the equipment keeps rewriting the rules. Refrigerants are on a schedule, and that schedule is a financial event every time it arrives. For decades, the workhorse refrigerant was R22. New equipment using it stopped being built years ago, and the supply for servicing it ended entirely. Every old unit still running on R22 is now kept alive on reclaimed refrigerant that costs more every year. The next wave is already here. A federal law signed in 2020 phases down the newer refrigerants in stages through the 2030s. R404A, one of the most common supermarket refrigerants in the world, is on the way out. New systems are moving to carbon dioxide racks and ammonia systems. Watch what that does to a store. A grocery chain has a rack full of R404A running fine, paid off years ago, making cold air every single day. Nothing about that rack is broken, but the rules have changed around it. The refrigerant it needs is getting more expensive and harder to find, and the store knows that in a few years, keeping that rack alive will cost more than replacing it. So the owner of the refrigeration company walks in with a quote for a new carbon dioxide system, and the store manager has to decide between a big bill today and a bigger bill every year forever. The company that trains its techs on the new systems before the old ones die is positioned for a decade of work. The company that does not is watching its customers get told by somebody else that their equipment is obsolete. Now watch what happens to our owner. This is where the story turns. His best tech, the one who trained everybody, the one the store managers actually call, gives notice. He is starting his own company, and he is taking 2 of the accounts with him. The owner spends 6 months hunting for a replacement. He finds nobody. The grocery stores that stay are nervous. The cash timing starts to bite, because the emergency work is still expensive and the payments are still slow. One afternoon, the owner sees a competitor's van parked at the loading dock of his oldest account. The account he signed when he only had 1 truck. Nobody has to explain what that van means. By the second winter, the company that looked unstoppable is 1 bad month from missing payroll. And here is what saves it. Not a new van. Not a lucky contract. The contract book. The recurring monthly agreements the owner almost did not build. The boring ones he signed when times were good. Those contracts are still there. They still pay every month. They give him the cushion to survive the lost accounts, the months without a replacement tech, the slow cash. The customers on contract are the ones who stay. The company that nearly died is still standing. Not because of the hero calls, because of the boring monthly visits nobody ever thinks about. So which ending a company gets comes down to a question that sounds simple and is not. What is the company actually worth? Take 2 companies with the same revenue. Company A has a full dispatch log, no contracts, and 2 technicians who could walk out tomorrow. The owner is working 80 hours a week. If they sold the business, the buyer would get a pile of invoices, a list of customers they do not actually own, and 2 employees who might leave on the way to the closing. Ask a serious buyer what they want to see first, and they will not ask for the logbook. They will ask who your technicians are, how long they have been here, and which customers call them directly. The phone is the asset, and the phone belongs to the technicians. Company B has the same revenue, but a book of signed maintenance contracts, a schedule that is predictable, and technicians who stay because the company treats them like the asset they are. The buyer gets a book of agreements that renew automatically, a customer list the company actually controls, and technicians who have a reason to stay. 2 companies, same revenue, completely different businesses. Company A is a job that happens to be for sale. Company B is an asset. The difference is not the number on the dispatch board, it is the recurring revenue and the people who hold it. So does owning a commercial refrigeration company actually work? The honest answer depends entirely on which company you are. If you are running the panic call shop, the one with the full logbook and the thin bank account and the technician who owns the customers, you are not running a business that never sleeps. You are running a fire alarm that pays you a premium to wake it up, and eventually the premium stops covering the cost of the alarm. If you are running the contract shop, the one with the book of monthly agreements, the scheduled techs, and the pricing that covers your real cost, the 2 a.m. calls are a bonus on top of a foundation that does not depend on them. The demand is real. The cold never stops. But the company that never sleeps does not survive on the calls that wake it up, it survives on the calls it prevents, and the people who make those calls unnecessary. A refrigeration company looks, from the outside, like a fleet of vans racing to save spoiled food. From the inside, it is a recurring relationship with a machine room, a contract that pays every month, and a certified technician who could leave at any moment. The business is not really selling repairs, it is selling a promise. The promise that the cold stays cold, the milk stays safe, the freezer door stays shut, and the alarm that makes the whole industry famous, the one that rings at 2 o'clock in the morning, is the sound of that promise breaking. The companies that win spend their whole existence making sure the alarm never rings at all. The light on the machine room wall glows steady, the store is quiet, the product is cold, and somewhere, a technician sleeps through the night.